Hi folks, it's Coach Kelvin from the We Run Virtual Run Club and We Run Coach for Leeds and surrounding areas as well as online coaching. In this little video, I'm going to share with you how I roughly plan my training and how I sort of look back to see what time I've been spending in certain heart rate zones and to a certain degree certain speed zones. And this allows me to plan my training for the future. Because we often talk about sort of time in heart rate zones and the 80-20 rule and things like that. But how do you know how much you're spending predominantly aerobically? How do you know how much your time you're spending using your glycolytic system and all these other things? And we've done lots of videos on sort of setting training zones. And once they're set, it is a good idea to record how much time we spend in each one. And this is how I do it. We're going to jump across to a little screen recording of TrainingPeaks, which is the platform I use to plan my own training and also the one that my runners will also be familiar with. So this is TrainingPeaks, which is the platform that I use to schedule workouts for my runners, and I also use it to rough out my training in a little bit less detail than I do for my runners, but hopefully I know what workouts I'm going to be doing. And so this is my training, and I pop a note at the start of the week, build week 3, download, specific 1, specific 2, specific 3, taper 1, taper 2, and then I've got an event, Ultra Trail Snowdonia 50k, and then a couple of recovery weeks. And the reason that I like to do it like that is I actually get an email at the start of each week that tells me if there's a workout or a note. So I literally get this here as an email as a reminder, and I can also kind of put some text in there if there's anything specific that I need to know. So I don't actually prescribe workouts for myself. I just put the note at the start of the week giving me a rough idea what to do. But what I love about TrainingPeaks is actually monitoring my training. So if I go into my dashboard here, I can see kind of a lot of detail over long periods of time. So this is over 12 months. So I can go into run distance over the last 12 months. And I can look for patterns. That's Ultra Trail Snowdonia last year. I think it is. Maybe, or the Alps. Maybe a little taper there before Ultra Trail Snowdonia. And then the little gap there is snowboarding in the Alps, where a lot of that was hiking up rather than getting lifts. So there was plenty of training load that wasn't specific. I can always look at my longest workout and just see trends and just make sure that I'm building in the right way and I'm not doing something that my body's not used to doing. But what's really interesting, I've also got time in heart rate zones. So, we talk a lot about easy running and time in different heart rate zones and the 80-20 rule and setting heart rate zones. But this just gives me a really useful picture of my last. I usually go back between 6 and 12 months to see trends. Any further back than that, and it's not really relevant. That's Ultra Trail Snowdonia 50k, pushing quite hard there. That's a couple of weeks running out in the Alps. Bringing in a little bit more intensity at the moment as I'm preparing for this year's Ultra Trail Snowdonia. So it allows me to see these things at a glance, the time they're spent in each different zone in that week. And then those zones I've actually set myself. So in my settings, I can go to zones. And I've actually named these and set my sort of ranges for training zones. Threshold heart rate based off a race, maximum heart rate based off the maximum heart rate I've ever seen, and a rough idea of my resting heart rate as well. And also, I've also put a pace to my threshold heart rate as well, in the pace zones down there, and I've added the pace zones in, so that I can also take a look at that. So what that allows me to do is just kind of look back at the bigger picture, and make sure that I'm not suddenly increasing my training load to a level that might cause either too much fatigue or maybe even injury. And just having the notes here at the start of each week, I actually get an email to say that it's a specific week one, so I can just kind of rough out that week. I know there that I maybe need to get to the Lake District or North Wales there and there to get some vertical in before the taper. So I hope you found that useful. And if you've got any questions or thoughts on this video, please just pop them in the comments below. And for now, happy running!